Hello, my dear friend, and welcome to the Spiritually Engineered Podcast, where we take a deep dive into the human experience from a spiritual perspective. Come on in, and I invite you to stay. I want to talk to you about love. Can I tell you something about it? Specifically, true love. Now, I don't mean just exclusively the mushy romantic love that we see in TV shows and movies. Although that's great and it has a place. Absolutely. But I want to get to, as I mentioned, the whole umbrella. So like the love that I can give to my friends, the love that I can share. That's a better word rather than say give. It's a love that I can share with anyone I meet. It's a love that I can infuse in everything that I'm doing. True love. And true love to me is something that is home, the universe. It's the kind of example that my spirit guides embody. Your spirit guides embody. They embody this really well, 100%. And so in this episode, I want to explore a little bit here because we can get it, we can go in a lot of places here, but I think I'm going to do my best here to just really get into the meat of it. Oftentimes when it comes to this idea of love, people tend to make it only exclusively in the romantic setting, as if it's the end-all be-all when it comes to life. It is a part of it, yes, and it's great. When it comes in the context of relationships, companionship. But I think a lot of people have misconceptions or have belief systems that are very limiting when it comes to love. Let me explain in one way. So there's the true love that I'm telling you now, that I'm beginning to talk to you about and share where I'm at with it, versus emotional love. True love is giving freely without hooks. Emotional love expects. True love is giving from a place of abundance, where the reward is in the giving itself. Emotional love gives from a place of lack that results in the giving feeling transactional. I give you this, you need to give me something back. There's that lack there. And so I think that right there is a very key distinction, because in my understanding and working with my spirit guides, my spiritual companions in this lifetime's journey, they have really taught me a lot about true love. And this is why I love them and I appreciate them and I respect them so much. And they definitely have communicated to me how much they love and respect me with the feeling of sincerity. When it comes to like the giving of oneself, giving of myself freely, it's interesting how the subtle ways where I can find myself like not doing that, where I start to make it transactional. Let me name a couple examples. Have you ever been the type of person where when you sneeze, there's like this etiquette, like you're supposed to say, bless you. And then the person, and then the person will say thank you or whatnot. Right? There's like this exchange back and forth. Achoo, bless you, thank you. I don't know about you, I've definitely had that kind of script, that kind of conditioning growing up. It was labeled as something as etiquette, but really it's just someone else's concepts based on perhaps some grain of truth that's in there and why people say bless you and all the things. And I'm sure there is. There's some, like I said, I look at it from a place of there's a grain of truth. But I just want to take a look back and zoom out a bit and just look at what's going on here. So sometimes when I sneeze and nobody says bless you, or like when I'm with my spiritual friends, because a lot of them that haven't come up, haven't been brought up with that kind of teaching growing up. So when I sneeze around them, I don't get any like, oh bless you, and that'll stimulate me sometimes because that's something that I was conditioned to do. So that right there is like a subtle example of how I can get into this expecting, like in the subtle way possible. And another area, and this is something that I witnessed in other, actually no, I experienced this from time to time, and something that I witnessed in other people. Have you ever told someone good morning, maybe in passing, right? At least that's an experience I can recall, where I'm just like out in the streets commuting to work or just passing by somebody on my way to my destination, and I say good morning, and I don't get a response back. That person didn't tell me good morning. What an asshole. You sure it's not you that's being the asshole thinking that? At least for myself, right? I'm framing this with myself. I'm not assuming it's the case for you, but for myself, right? Is remember when remember that when it comes to giving freely without hooks, it's coming from that place of abundance. I'm just expressing. I don't need that validation in the form of oh, you got to respond to me. You got to respond to what I said or did, so I can feel some type of way, so I can feel good. You know, these are just a couple but very powerful examples of ways that operating out of that emotional love. So I try, I catch myself when I can from time to time. So if I'm sneezing, I'm like, even sometimes with the whole sneezing part, I've had other people who sneeze, and I try to, and I purposely don't say bless you. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to say it. That doesn't mean I wish them ill or anything like that. But it's just like, I have to be aware of these obligations that I impose on myself and sometimes others. And that's not true love in those moments. And so I hope I gave you some like real life examples. Maybe you could think of some other ways where you might be expecting something from somebody else, getting to that, having that kind of transactional thing. And that's the thing. When it comes to transactional, the expectations, I definitely want to use transactional in this context. However, on the more balanced way, there is such a thing as an exchange of energy, exchange of X, Y, and Z. It could be material things. And I think that in our relationships is important. There needs to be an exchange between two people. And I think for me, I have to be careful not to get caught up in like making it like balancing the scale where it's like it has to be proportional, it has to match. All this is da 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 da. Like if someone were to give me something, sometimes I may feel bad or guilty or feel like I have to give something back to them out of obligation. Or even when somebody tells me, oh, have a good one, have a good day, and sometimes I'll say like, oh, you too. Like the you too, when it comes to if someone says something like, like a general statement or like a general wish. Oh, have an awesome day. You too. Nothing wrong with that, right? But there are times for me when someone shares their best wishes to me, I feel the need to have to reciprocate that out of imposed obligations on myself. And the key there is to recognize the motive, what's going on in my mind. What's the why behind me doing what I'm doing or saying what I'm saying? You catch my drift? It is from those moments where I've learned at times, sometimes just receive, buddy. I tell myself. My guides have told me this on a couple of occasions too. Just receive. Don't have to do something back to the other person to repay or something like that. Just receive. Again, that could be something material, but it can also be something spiritual, intangible, like a compliment or something. And just receive it. Take that in. because that's in those instances that's someone reflecting to me the positive aspects of who I am, the authentic parts of me, the authentic part of me. And so again, just another area there, just to be aware of the motive. So just, and I think what to look for, is it from a place of abundance or is it from a place of lack? And I think that right there is a good way to know if you're operating out of true love or if you're operating out of emotional love. And for me, I've had plenty people in my life that have given of themselves to me without expecting anything in return. Whether it's, discounts to go to courses and retreats, or getting a ride somewhere, or even being able to stay at someone's place for the night or two or three. I think about those experiences where they gave from that place of abundance. And it's because of that, to me, that it's proof that it's real. It's a thing. It's not just some weird idealistic ideal that sounds nice, but it's something that actually, it's something worth living. I think for me, and something else I'll share a bit here, where that can come up, where it can be challenging. It can be challenging for me around people that I really care about. People that I absolutely will go above and beyond for. I love being around them. I enjoy their presence, and there's not a whole lot of people in my life. There's very few. But that isn't to say, though, like I said, that when it comes to that true love, it's not like I'm not. Um, it's like I can give to people, and then I can be very, like, with certain people. It's okay if I give of myself differently. There's no. I think everybody has a right in how they show up and how they express their love. I think the thing is to be consistent. It's like I am the same with everyone. I don't treat everyone the same. And that's something that it can be a challenge for me at times, I'll be honest. But definitely when it comes to loved ones of mine, one of the things that comes up for me is like possessiveness. Possessiveness. And let me tell you, when it comes up within myself and I'm feeling it, oh man, I'm at this place now where I'm relaxed, but when it happens, it's not enjoyable. It's not pleasant. Let me tell you, you know. And I'm grateful that I'm at this place now where I've recently been discovering ways where that possessiveness of people, of loved ones, has a root in being possessive of an idea. And it's not about what the idea is in and of itself, but it's more about how my energy is when I'm thinking about that idea that I'm possessive of. It's about what it does to me. It's about how I do it, not what I do. Or let me phrase it. It's not about what I do. It's about how I do it. And that's a very key component when it comes to living spiritually, living in balance, and not get so caught up in like the nuances, the likes and dislikes, and all the stuff that can just judge, like emotional love. It judges things. And what I've had to learn and navigate through, there's a lot of level of self acceptance I've been working on lately of myself and things that have been coming through, the feelings that have been coming up, the thoughts. And it had to be my first 7 years in my own training, because I've like one of the big things of like this etiquette. You're supposed to do this because you're supposed to. I got a lot of it from my parents. You're supposed to do this because that's the etiquette. You're supposed to do it. You're supposed to. Rather than, again, there's that supposed to is coming from that place of lack, in my opinion. And so I can be so hard on myself when I think about, or when I feel something that I know it's not good. Then I get into this like shaming myself for thinking and feeling these things when I'm human, just like everybody else. Me having these feelings about those close to me, people I care about in my life, I don't have a copyright on that. There are many people that experience these things. But it's amazing how I can box myself in and think it's just me, and then the shaming and the judging of myself becomes even more intense. And what that does to my energy is the most important thing in all of this. And it's nothing short of being in dis-ease, suffering, all these not so good things that just no one's destined or should be have to, or like, or is fated to feel, to feel crappy and all this. I mean, there are moments in life where we experience things that are unpleasant, right? And I think it's important to feel the things. It's important to embrace what comes up. And I'm gonna say this, when I talk about true love, for me, my relationship with it is that I practice it. And the point is not to be perfect. Because of the simple fact, I will feel things, the good and not so good. And I always have to remind myself, because, again, because of my own training, my own programming growing up, conditioning, to just shame myself for doing something bad. 30 lashes on my back. For what? What kind of healthy relationship with oneself is that? To me, that's not conducive to help anyone. If it's not going to help myself, it's sure as hell not going to help my neighbors. And this is why it's important, as we navigate through life, as we go through life, one of our most important relationships, I would say the most important relationships we have in our lives, is the one with ourselves. Because it starts there. And that translates into all our other relationships. This isn't about ego, because it's not just the self, but it just starts from there. The amount of love and respect that I give to myself is the extent that I can do the same for other people. It's proportional to what I can do for others. I can't give to others what I don't already have within myself. I can't give to others what I haven't put together for myself within. Just can't. So it's important for me to really embrace all the things that I'm feeling. Even those moments when I'm not operating out of true love, and those moments when I'm operating out of emotional love. To give myself grace to forgive myself. Because, man, I can't tell you how many times I've just feeling like crap. And then just how that can really spiral me down in the depressing place. I don't wish that for anybody. So embrace everything. And for the sake of my relationship with myself, for the sake of sincerity with myself. And here's the thing. There's the embracing part, which is key and important. And then there's the part, okay, what am I going to do about this? Because if I don't get to that point, then that's the spiraling down that I mentioned earlier. I'm just going to keep spiraling down and eventually become like a black hole. And if I start getting in that energy, if my energy vibration becomes that, I am a threat, a danger to others. And that's very, very, uh, what can I say? It's like very heavy territory. I'll put it like that. But for me, it's just really working on, okay, I'm embracing these emotions that I'm having and working through it. And that right there, it takes sincerity. I have to have that concern within me to say, okay, I'm feeling these things. I've acknowledged them. I'm aware of them. And I've given myself grace for having experienced them. Now what I'm going to do. And I think it's important to start being solution oriented here. And this is like the one on one when it comes to working with emotions. Emotions to me are just simply a form of communication. In other ways, they serve as an alarm that there's something within me that needs to be looked at. Think of it like a spiritual alarm system. That there's something going on within me that needs my attention. And so I mentioned the solution oriented part, but I think also for me, as your boy who looks at life as a school, I have to remember there's also a bigger picture. So whatever I'm experiencing, and if there's certain people in my life that stimulate these some certain things in me, particularly in the not so good, there's usually a lesson in my experience. 9 times out of 10 is because it is a result of a lesson that's there for me to work on. So reframing the whole situation in a positive framework is an important thing. What am I learning as part of my lessons related to what am I experiencing? In this context, what am I learning as part of my lessons related to my experiences of emotional love? What is the universe? What are my guides trying to move me towards? What is the soul part of me moving me towards for me to learn and unfold? Because all the things here and all the experiences that we have, the emotions, all these things are part of earth. These are earthly ideas. These are all part of this planet. It's not out there in the universe. I say that to say when we pass on, all this stuff stays behind here in this school. You know, all the stuff that's here in this realm stays here for future other souls that incarnate and come into the school to learn and grow. And so I want to go back to the romantic aspects of when it comes to true love and in romantic companionships, relationships, because definitely that's one area that I'm not immune to when it comes to like the possessiveness that happens. You know, I think that's uh that's part of the territory. You know, and I do believe that it's in that area there where it can be really hard to operate out of true love, and that's because of just the conditioning that we've received growing up. And if we don't do the inner work, it starts to pour into the relationship, and it starts to just be based like if me and my partner, right, hypothetical here, if it's based in like emotional love, that's not going to create a fulfilling relationship. You know, and in the context of like, again, romantic relationship, true love, you know, what I envision there is like two people that recognize their whole, and they choose in for, with each other because they add to each other's lives, not complement, but just adds, right? And I think true love, what that can look like in practice in a romantic setting, is that two people can do their thing and receive that support from their partner, right? And they do the thing and they can feel still free, not hunkered down or limited, but freeing and supportive and recognize, okay, we have this shared thing going on, and we can always come back to that together. And so I think with that, there has to be respect, because that's a key component when it comes to true love. There's that respect. As I mentioned earlier with like my spirit guides, they respect the hell out of me. So much so that they won't ever infringe on my free will. They won't ever tell me what to do with my life, because they know that's my responsibility. They know I have the freedom to choose for myself. And this is the same for every single individual here on this planet. Everybody has autonomy. All of our spirit guides, your spirit guides respect you. They're not going to interfere in your life. They're not going to tell you what to do. They will offer suggestions, and they will be good suggestions because they have a bigger picture. And even if you don't tap into their help, whether you're working with them consciously or unconsciously, they will still support you. And in fact, if you're listening to this, I guarantee they have helped you on numerous occasions, but maybe you may not have noticed it because you didn't know. And that's not for me to say to blame or nothing. That's okay. That's part of the game. Some people are aware that they have guides, others don't. But if you're here, I want you to know that you have them. You are not alone. You have master souls, high souls who are like the embodiment of true love with you 24/7. They have a contract, a spiritual contract with you to help you get what you need from this school so that you can graduate from this school at some point. And we'll all get there eventually. We will all get there eventually. And that's something that has given me a peace of mind. And also, I have to be honest, have to be reminded of from time to time as well, that no matter what, everything's going to be all right. Stuff I'm experiencing is just in this school. It's just a means to an end. I won't take it with me. But it's about, what do I gain in all of this? What am I gaining from these experiences? Again, just talking about, here, my experiences are when I can feel possessive in emotional love. Like, what am I learning? What am I gaining from the opportunity? And then having the respect and sincerity of myself to do something about it when I know it's not when I know it's not conducive, it's not being of service, when it's not helping anybody. So I want to apologize. I feel like I was feeling some type of way. But I truly do believe, though, that the true love is the reality. It is a reality out there in the universe, and it is something that we can embody, we can live in, and operate in on our day-to-day life. And to me, it's something that it's a commitment to live a life of true love. It's a commitment and a practice. As I mentioned, I've had my screw ups, and I may screw up again in the future. But that's not gonna dissuade me. That's not gonna discourage me from still practicing and still being committed, because it's a high standard to me that's worth living. It's part of my innate standard. And so, to wrap up this episode here, my friend, I want you to think about those people in your life. It could be close loved ones, people you've known for a long time, or even strangers, people you've just met, anybody you've come across. Think about those people who have given freely to you without expecting anything in return. They didn't ask for anything. They gave for the sake of giving. Think about those people for a moment. And if there's any that come to mind, share some gratitude with them. You can think of them mentally in your head and say something to the effect of like, thank you so much for giving of yourself to me. I love you, I respect you, and I back you. Or whatever resonates. That that right there is a good way to ground and reframe things when, especially if I find myself getting so negative so much, or I'm like, when I know my mind's not in a good place, to help bring myself out. You could say to ground in gratitude. And that's something I practice daily as well too, to put in perspective and not take for granted really what I have going, you know? And what gratitude has taught me as well is to recognize the ways that the good that I've got going on for myself. You've got a lot of good things going on for you. Can you identify them? And like I said, and for the ones that you can identify, well, those are some good reasons to be grateful for. And another thing I want you to think about as well. What are ways that you what are ways that you have given of yourself to others without hooks? So you thought about thinking about those that have given to you. Now for yourself, what are some ways that you've gave of yourself to others without hooks? Think about that. And when you have some that come to mind, give yourself a hug, give yourself a pat on the back for doing something that I think is important. That's an embodiment of an angel. And because I know for me this is a commitment and it's something I practice every single day. What are ways that you can give of yourself to others more? What are ways that you what are ways, right? And maybe it might require you being out of your comfort zone. But if that's the case, how would you feel like on the other, like if you were to do it? You know? What would your life look like if you practice giving freely more? How would that make you feel? And so these are some of the couple things that's been coming up. Like I said, I think when it comes to love, there's so much to talk about. But I figured because of what's been coming up for me at this point in time, I figured I wanted to just share this with you, my friend. Like I said, part of this podcast is like literally chronicles of my life and what I've got going on within myself, and I'm putting that together and sharing it with you, so that you can take the wisdom from what I've been putting together, so you can help yourself make it practical. And that's also a big part of living spiritually, making that joint practical, making it work for me, making my life work for me, not against me. And so if you made it this part of the episode, I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much. I hope you got something out of it. And, I try to look at things from the balanced perspective, from a higher perspective. And I'm always going to be learning. And I'm sure I'm going to probably learn more about, about love, and I look forward to those opportunities that will help me expand more as a soul. And I think that's the big thing for me, that having more concern about, because that's what I know I'll take with me when I pass on. That's why we're here. And so this has been another episode of Spiritual Engineered. I'm your host, Alvin Cepeda, signing out. And as always, take care, my dear friend.